Intros are hard, man. So, Zelda 1 was a success, and despite being very different, Zelda 2 Link's Adventure was a success for Nintendo as well. Miyamoto had a plan though, and that was to take Zelda back to its roots with a top-down perspective for its third game entering the franchise. This time, developed for Nintendo's new console, the Super Nintendo, where the game came to become Super. Because of that, it had to have an even grander name than The Legend of Zelda 3, so they named it The Legend of Zelda Triforce of the Gods. Or, well, in Japan anyway, if you translate, Zeruda no Densetsu Kamigami no Triforce! Butchered pronunciation aside, it would be known as The Legend of Zelda A Link to the Past in the rest of the world. Spoilers, be aware. We'll jump directly into the title screen, which shows off the beauty of its new 16-bit graphics right off the bat, with a 3D rendition of the Triforce comes flying in right before a sword strikes into it, revealing the game title, with a pretty background of a river and a castle. Wait for a while and the game's story will be told in an intro cutscene, which I will go through when I go through the story of the game in a few moments. Press start and you'll be taken to the start menu, where you can select which file to play and name them any name you like within 6 characters. Yeah, you heard that right. This time you have 2 characters less to use in the name, so goodbye FrogFace and hello, FrogF. Your progress can be seen with Link's tunic, shield and sword changing in the file select menu. Now on to the story of the game. Now this is a story all about how the land of Hyrule was turned upside down. I'd like to take some time to sit back there and hear how it all changed with fear. An evil wizard named Aghanim appeared, started kidnapping maidens here and there. A boy appeared and the wizard got scared and fled out of there. So the actual story opens up with building some pre-lore about the games, building up Hyrule as a world, and telling us about the omnipotent Triforce, sought out by many, even causing wars over it, hidden in a land known as the Golden Land. All who entered never returned, and eventually evil came out from it. The then king ordered 7 wise men to seal its gate, but the seal wouldn't last forever, as it would become a legend over time, in which a mysterious wizard known as Aghanim appeared to break the seal by eliminating the now king and kidnapping the descendants of the 7 wise men, making them vanish one by one with his evil magic. Cutting it into the present by warning the player that Princess Zelda is about to meet the same fate. This is where the game begins, with Link, or whatever you named him, wakes up in his uncle's house with a message told by Zelda to come rescue her before it's too late, while telling him she's in the dungeon of the castle. She also tells the player about Aghanim's motivation in case you missed the prologue, and jump straight into the game. Your uncle set out to rescue her with his sword and shield and tell you to stay in the house, which we all know you won't, because you are bad.
It's so bad.
He also steals his lantern as well. So Link makes it for the castle in the storm, and if you choose to talk with the guards, you get some slight world building and tutorial messages. Link makes it for the castle sewers by a hidden entrance, where he meets his uncle, who gives Link his shield and sword, as well as the sword spin technique before saying the famous line, "Zelda is your..." As a kid, I always thought he was about to say she was Link's sister, but Destiny is more likely. So, after getting the sword and shield, Link sets out for the castle and its dungeon to save Princess Zelda. Link makes it to the bottom floor, where he gets a boomerang on the way. Before him and Princess Zelda stand a chain and ball knight, which he must take down before rescuing Zelda. Zelda tells you the fate of the soldiers, her father, and what inhuman fiend Aghanim are. So the two of you set out for the throne room because of a hidden passage there leading to the sanctuary, where you leave Zelda for the time being. Then Link is sent to Kakariko village to meet with the elder there named Sahasrahla, which isn't there, as well as learning the legend of the Sword of Evil Bane, known as the Master Sword. Link learns the location of Sahasrahla and set out for him. Link finds him close to the Eastern Palace and learns that he needs 3 pendants to clear the seal to the Master Sword. He first needs to gather the pendant of courage, power and wisdom in the Eastern Palace, Desert Palace and Tower of Hera. He also needs the Book of Medora to understand the ancient Hyrulean texts. At Death Mountain, Link learned from an old man he rescued there that he will need to find a moon pearl in order to keep his real form while entering the Golden Land, as it transforms the person into a form which their heart reflects. After getting the Master Sword, the seal on the forest has been lifted and the mysterious fog of the Lost Woods clear up as he makes it for a sanctuary, only to find a priest on the floor telling you Zelda has been taken by Aghanim and you must hurry before he works his magic on her. So what the priest essentially said is that he's trying to seduce her, got it. Link now sets out for Hyrule Castle yet again, but this time to the magic barrier in front of the tower on the castle walls, which he breaks with the power of the Master Sword. Link climbs the tower guarded by vicious foes until he makes it to the top, where Aghanim performs the final ritual on the seal by making Zelda vanish right before Link's eyes. He laughs and proclaims that the seal has now been broken, and it's just a matter of time before the light world is overrun by evil, and that not even the legendary hero can defeat the tribe of evil when they possess the Triforce before it teleports away. Link follows him to the balcony on the tower and challenges him to a battle, which he wins, but Aghanim escapes while dragging Link with him into the Dark World, which originally was the Golden Land, but was transformed by evil within the heart of the last man who touched the Triforce. Link is presented with a new mission, rescuing the 6 maidens alongside Zelda, who are locked away in the 7 dungeons across the Dark World. He is sent to the Palace of Darkness first. Every time a maiden is saved, she tells Link about the man who touched the Triforce, his ambitions, and what must be done to stop him from taking over the Light World. And once all maidens and Zelda are saved, they break the seal to Ganon's tower. Link makes it to the tower and climb it to the top to challenge Aghanim yet again, but this time for a final time. The wizard is pleased to see Link again and scoffs at him, remarking that they won't meet for a 3rd time. The real villain is revealed as Aghanim is destroyed and Ganon flies off and crashes into the Pyramid of Power, with Link close behind him. Link prepares himself for the final battle by equipping himself with a light sword and the light arrows. As Link enters the interior of the pyramid, Ganon says it's surprising that Link defeated his alter ego Aghanim not once, but twice. However, he will never give up the Triforce and destroy Link and take over both worlds, and the battle begins. It's a tough battle and the hero almost falls, but is brought back thanks to a fairy in his possession. As the Prince of Evil has been defeated, the gates in which the Triforce lies opens up for Link to make a wish to the Triforce. It also touches on how the rules for the wish applies, and that there only can be one wish active at a time, for as long as the last to make a wish on the Triforce still lives. So Link makes his wish, and peace is returned to Hyrule, and the life for the citizens are either brought back or changed for the better. So, let's move on to the gameplay now that the story has been completed. Oh boy, have the gameplay changed a lot! We are now back to a top-down perspective, just like the original The Legend of Zelda, but not even near as stiff as the original was. First of all, you can move in 8 different directions, unlike the original's 4, so that is a huge improvement to the movement. You no longer stab forward, but swipe your sword in 180 degrees. You use your sword by pressing the B button, and if you hold it, Link will charge a spin attack which covers 360 degrees. With the Master Sword and onwards, you will shoot a spinning sword beam while at full health. The A button does a lot this time around. When you are near something you can grab, A is the button to press. A is used for talking with townspeople and reading signs. In the water with the Sora flipper, you swim with the A button by repeatedly pressing it, and with the Pegasus boots, you run by holding A on land. The X button is used to open your map, as well as zooming in and closing it on the world map. While on the overworld map, you can toggle between the full map and zoomed in map with the L and R button, which is something I actually found out for this review. The map also shows you where you need to head next, by either showing the location with a red cross, or where to find your next prize to collect. The Y button is pressed to use items, and there's a huge variation of items in this game, and while I won't go through them in this review, I will go through the basics of how the different items are used. You have items which you can use an unlimited amount of times, like the boomerang. You have ammunition type items like bombs, as well as the bow and arrows. And unlike the original game, arrows have their own drops now, so they don't cost rupees. Both the maximum bomb and arrow capacity can be upgraded as well. Another new addition to this game is the magic bar, and some items cost magics to use, and there are 3 different types of items that drains magic. There are items that drain a little magic per use, like the lantern. Then there are those who drain a lot, like the medallions, which are screen nukes. And finally, there are invincibility items like the Cane of Berna and the Magic Cape that drains magic constantly when in use. There are also empty bottles in which you can store magic or health revealing potions, fairies that resurrect you upon death, and bees that can attack your enemies for you, homing in on them. The start button is used to open up the items menu where you select items, and the select button is used if you want to save and quit at any time. Of course, there are also equip items that are permanently equipped once received, like the Pegasus boots. In previous playthroughs, I would usually stick to not using most items, but for this review, I decided to use them more often, and I'm glad that I did, because man oh man are the items a lot more fun to use this time around than I ever gave them credit for before. Your tunic can be upgraded as well, with actual tunics and not rings this time. Your sword can still be upgraded, as well as your shield, but the shield is now permanently upgraded. If you ever get stuck in the game, you can go visit a fortune teller and pay them a small sum of rupees to let them tell you where to go next. There are also shops scattered throughout this world. Since the game has 2 different worlds to explore, you have a lot to do in the game, so massive improvements. Again though, the overworld is just a means to challenge you while you explore your way to the meat of this game, and that is yet again the dungeons. The dungeons have also received a new coat of paint and improved upon in a huge new ways. As this game works with pseudo 3D and elevations, you have elevated floors in which you can go under, and the rooms are much bigger compared to the original game. Not only that, some of the dungeons now have multiple floors to explore, which opens up more interesting dungeons, and just like the second game, some of them allow you to drop down to a lower floor that you are currently on. The map still updates each room you visit, and when you collect a map, the entire dungeon is revealed, and that goes for all floors. The compass works the same way as the original, but since the boss is in the same room as the reward you're looking for, it showcases the boss room instead. Something new to the series introduced in this game is the big key, which are used on doors with a big keyhole, usually nearby the boss room, as well as opening the dungeon big chest, which contains a new item for you each dungeon. The bosses has undergone some changes as well, and have been improved further upon from the bosses from the original The Legend of Zelda, as well as Zelda 2 The Adventure of Link. They are now bigger than ever, and have more complex movement as well as attack patterns. Some bosses have weaknesses to some of your items, which can be used to more easily deal with them, and I even found some I didn't know about. So some of the bosses have several ways to tackle them, which I like. The bosses are also more menacing and a bigger challenge to tackle, and unlike the previous 2 games, each dungeon boss is unique to that dungeon. Something to note is that in the Dark World, you can do the 7 dungeons in any order you like, as long as you get the necessary dungeon item to proceed in the Dark World. Now, let's move away from gameplay and right into music. So, how does the music compare on the SNES against the NES Zelda titles' music? It's a lot better in all honesty. First of all, there are a lot more tracks than the previous games. There are now 3 different dungeon themes to the game. One that is unique to Hyrule Castle, One that is used for the Light World dungeons, and the last one which was used for the Dark World's dungeons. The Light World dungeons theme is my favorite out of the three, even if I really like the Hyrule Castle theme. The Hyrule Castle theme would carry over to other games, as well as Aghanim's theme that would later be attached to the incarnation of Ganon in future games. There are two different overworld themes as well, a remaster of the classic overworld theme from the original NES Zelda, as well as a new theme for the Dark World. I really love the Lost Woods theme, which sounds very mystical, and to be honest, it's my favorite out of all the themes for the Lost Woods. Kakariko Village is very calming and nice, and would carry over to other Zelda games as well. The boss theme is great as well, and I really enjoy the final battle theme. I find the music to be great overall. As for sound effects, they are nice. You have beam sounds that sounds like they would be beams, sword swings that sounds like sword swings, as well as the sound made when Link hits a wall with his sword. So I would say that the sound effects are solid in this game, pun intended. So the question is the game any good? Short answer, yes. Goodbye! I'm just kidding, but the game is good. A Link to the Past improved on a lot of things that The Legend of Zelda established with its gameplay in dungeons. The more fluid movement and attack options make the game a lot easier to play through and make it more enjoyable to move around in the game than it was in The Legend of Zelda. They did, however, balance it well with its difficulty, and even though you swipe your sword in front of you, you still need to maneuver around some enemies to attack them, as well as avoiding their attacks. The game is a lot brighter and have more fluid colors as well. Each dungeon looks unique in its design, and they all have their own souls, as well as being easy to recognize. My opinions of this game has changed a lot over the years. As a kid, I loved the game, playing it at two different friends' houses, never making real progress beyond Hyrule Castle. I'm pretty sure I told this story in a previous video, but me and a friend played through the game, never made it further than the Light World, except for one time where we made it into the Dark World for the first time. Something which only his sister had done before us. Within our limited social sphere anyway. Because of this, I have always been more fond of the Light World and its dungeons, as they have been the most fun for me. I did play through this game as a teenager, and I remember not enjoying the Dark World as much as I enjoy the Light World. In fact, the somewhat linear approach I had to the game made my enjoyment suffer a bit. I did still enjoy most of the dungeons though. As I grew older, the more I would replay this game, and the more I would enjoy the Dark World. In fact, my latest playthrough of this game, which was for this review, where I used the items a lot more, has been my most enjoyable with the game I ever had, and that goes for both the Light and Dark World respectively. So the game has grown a lot on me over the years. Thanks to the quality of the SNES 16-bit games and the almost timeless look on sprites, this game has aged well, both in a graphical standpoint as well as a gameplay standpoint. This game laid the foundation for the series of several games in the franchise, which the series kept strong, up until Skyward Sword started to change the formula, which also carried a lot of weight how influential A Link to the Past was for the series. This game is amazing, and I can definitely see why it's so many Zelda fans' favorite Zelda game, even if it's not my own favorite. So personally, I think every Zelda fan owe it to themselves to play this game, and if you can, share it on to the next generation of gamers, so they can experience the amazing journey that is The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. So, before I cue the outro video, I hope you have the courage to join the Frog Squad by subscribing and hitting the bell icon. I hope that you have the wisdom to share your thoughts about the review as well as your own story about this game, and the power to share this video with someone you know. Thanks for watching everyone, and have a great day. Hello everybody, FrogFace here. Thank you very much for watching this review of A Link to the Past. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you do, leave me a comment down below. or press the frog up here to subscribe. Check out the other reviews up here, or master playlist down here. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye!